the reclaiming power, there's no mistake that that is module 1. Okay? There's no mistake that the next module is manifestation. As I was listening to the video 1, the second half of that is all weaving into manifestation again, right? Manifestation cannot really be grasped or used or experienced if there's power in things. Okay, so it really is important to do that reclaiming power. So I do want to deliver some content to you guys about it, because I thought to myself, okay, well, what's the next question about this? And I will deliver it, but I want to know, I just want to gauge where you're at. Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys questions, and we've only got 90 minutes. We've got an hour and 15 minutes now. So I don't need to tell you, don't go into the story. Let's just get into the core of it, the crux of it. Okay, but there's a few questions that I asked in that module 1, and I want to know what's your understanding of it. Okay, you guys ready? So number 1 is, how do you know you have power in something or someone?
You're trying to control
it. Okay, yeah, you try to control it. Yeah. Anyone else? And that's anyone online, just unmute and talk, okay?
When you label it as good or bad, right or wrong.
Judging.
Okay, cool. Yep.
If there's a charge.
Yeah.
And when you feel it's something you need, not just something you want.
It's when you feel like it's something you need, not something you want. Okay.
Is anything you're trying to control?
I think someone said that.
Yeah.
Anything you're trying to control? Yeah.
Anything you want to change, or I guess it's the same as control, or fixing further change.
I just also feel like where your mind wanders to, like you feel your life's going on, where you're about to sleep, or when you're waking up, where your mind goes to.
Can you speak louder? Because I'm sure the guys didn't hear that.
Where your mind goes to in your stillness. So before you go to bed or when you're waking up in the morning.
Well, let's just polish that up. In the OMG, I say it's what consumes your mind, because where your mind wanders to, it could be pondering.
Yeah.
And we need to get clear on that.
Yeah.
Okay, because there is difference between what consumes your mind. The way I answered it in the module was, I said, how do you know when you have power in something or someone? It's because it consumes your mind. It consumes space in your mind. The control thing is in there. It's a deeper level. It's the next, as we go deeper. But that question is, how do you know something consumes how do you know you have power in something? Because it consumes your mind. It consumes space. So how do you know it consumes space? Just make sure we're all on the same page. How do you know it consumes space in your mind?
It's all you can think about, or it's constantly there.
Okay.
It brings up shoulda, coulda, wouldas.
Okay, so you continuously think about it. So this is what this is shit I want to get clear. So what about sometimes you love something or somebody and you think about them? So we want to make sure we're clear here, because there is a difference between you continuously thinking about something, right, versus the thoughts or the images or the feelings that arise that isn't what you're continuously thinking about. Like, it may continuously arise. Something may keep coming up for you. Does that mean that's something you have power in?
Not necessarily.
They're two different things. So these are the things we need to get clear on. Okay? So what's the difference? What's the difference between the thought that you continuously think about and it consumes, we know it's a different feeling,
Because it's
I was
charged.
gonna say that, yeah.
Different space.
okay? So one's charged,
Yeah.
okay?
How it comes to me is one, I don't mind it's there, and one I do.
Okay? So one, he doesn't mind it's there, one, he
Yeah,
does.
so one, if the thoughts are coming, sure. If it's here, if it isn't, it wouldn't be a thing. But the other one, yeah, there's got to be an end to it. There's a resolution that's required. Or I'm driving at something, or there's certain kind of certainty.
Speak up.
So
Can you guys hear me? Just I just need to know how much no, they can't hear you.
So essentially, you're looking for a certainty, or you're looking for something. There's an outcome. You're kind of driving.
So when the thought is charged, you need to have I like what you said, resolution. Because a charged thought does require resolution. Why?
That's correct.
Looking for certainty. You're looking for comfort.
I'm looking to fix it.
Yeah, no, let's just highlight this thing. He said something really powerful here. Okay, when it is a charged thought, it's looking for resolution. What does resolution mean?
End. To end.
An end?
Control.
Control?
Could it be neutrality, the neutral factor?
Yes.
When you take the power out of it?
Yes, that has something to do with it. Okay, so this is important. It's really need to understand this at a deeper level. Okay, there's resolution. I mean, what does that have to do with control? I need to know what you're thinking.
Well, I'm thinking that if you want something to be resolved, it's because you're still seeking control over it. You're still seeking to control it and give it resolution yourself. You're thinking that you're the one that needs to do it as a drop to resolve it.
To resolve it, you need to resolve it. You're looking to control it, so you're looking to resolve it.
I feel like it's separate. It's something I'm not. So essentially, what you're saying is, if you didn't need to control it, a resolution wouldn't really matter.
It
one
wouldn't
way,
matter.
one way.
Exactly. Yeah.
But let's just stay with this word resolution. Okay, it's a key word is put up here. All right, you guys need to ponder on this. Why is the charge, and this is one of the questions I've brought up for you guys today, so it's good. What is charge? And if you can answer that, then you may realize why the charge is looking for resolution. What does resolution mean?
Amir,
Yes.
what's coming up for me is that if I'm looking to control or resolution or it's charged, I'm not present. There is like a future or a past tied to that. And the difference in the thought is I'm going out to that thought, or I'm calling that thought. And when you're talking about if you love something, for me, that love is a presence. That's something now that's happening. It's not a memory. It's not a future fantasy. It's something that just came upon. So for me, resolution inherently has some kind of future involved in it. Like I'm trying, right now it's not resolved, but I want to make it resolve.
I understand what you're saying, and I think what you're sharing there is the feeling of what we're talking about here. What I want to do with you guys in OMG, in this new version 2, is to actually get you to understand what this feeling or what is actually happening. So what you just explained to me, John, is what is actually happening. But I'm now getting you guys to understand what is happening. Because most people don't know how their intuition works. They just trust it and use it. But it becomes super powerful if you can actually understand it as well. Now, I know we say you can't understand it, right? Yes, you can't understand the feeling. You can't understand the truth. You can't understand the process, right? But probably the best word to use is you can't understand the feeling, right? You can't understand love Like it's not, you can't, something you can't understand. But I'm trying to look for the word. Maybe it's the process. Understand the process to some level. And I know it's not understandable.
With the mind.
Yeah, understand it. Because if you can understand it as well as feel it or be with it, whatever you want to call it, the living of it becomes second nature. Remember, I told you guys when this is the biggest lesson I've got so far from aerobatics. I would go and learn all these things. I needed to understand it. The understanding of it took me to my head. Then when I was flying the maneuvers with an instructor, my instructor would say, stop thinking about it, just do it. I'm like, you took me in my fucking head. I'm in my head about it. Now you're telling me to stop thinking about it. And he goes, yeah, it's what you got to be able to do. To the point where you now, when I'm doing the maneuvers, I don't think about it. And that's where we go, I don't know, I just don't think about it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm teaching this for people, I'm not interested in getting them to understand it. I'm just getting them to connect to the feeling. But the feeling on its own can really invite someone to be woo-woo. So it's almost like yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing. I want you to understand what you've been or how you've been living. That's what this next level of content is. Which is when first someone comes across this content, they want to understand it. And I'm just like, just feel it. Just trust the process. Because that's how I went. You can't, for me, I feel the feeling has got to be greater than the understanding. But now that you've connected to the feeling, you wouldn't be here. Some of you guys have been here for 5 years since I started recording OMG. Some of you longer. You wouldn't be here unless you felt what I'm saying. That's what I said to you when I listened to my own recording for the very first time ever. It just took me and I was just like, wow. Like it doesn't, that's why when you're like, wow, you really think highly of yourself. It doesn't feel like I'm listening to myself, listen to what I'm saying. It doesn't feel like I'm watching myself. That's because I'm like, that's not me. I feel like I'm watching, I was telling Jamie about it. I feel like I'm watching it and I'm like, shit, this guy's got good shit. It doesn't go, fuck, I got good shit. That's not what happens in my mind. I'm like, I feel this guy. That's why when I was explaining it to her, it felt like to me I was explaining it about someone else. I know that someone else is, because I can feel the one in that. Like when the content is being delivered in OMG, I'm like, fuck, man. That's not me. Like I always felt that when I was on stage and I would always say it's not me and, you know, like, but for watching it back, I've never watched any of my stuff back, ever. Not even WTF. Sure, snippets of it. And when they do the promo videos, this is the first time I've never felt to. It's not like I'll cringe or anything. I just didn't feel to. I didn't feel to watch it back. Once it was delivered, it was delivered. This is the first time I'm doing it. I've been doing this over 10 years. This guy has got some shit, man. He's tapping into something. And this is what we're doing right now. I want you motherfuckers to understand. You've done the feeling. I'm not trying to get you into your head. I am integrating the heart and the head. Remember I said the external and the internal become the same. The heart and head, they merge as one. This is what I'm trying to do over the next 12 months. Actually, it's not 12 months, it's 15 months. Because we're doing one module a month. It's 15. I keep thinking it's 12. Right? I want you to understand it. If I took someone down the route of understanding this, they will then know this, they'll understand it, but they won't be able to live it. If I take someone down the road of just feeling this, they feel it. They trust the process. There's an inner certainty, but they don't believe in what they know. They know it, but they don't believe in what they know. They don't believe that they're the one. They don't believe the feeling that says it's all possible. They don't believe it. They know it. They feel it's all possible, but they don't believe it because they don't understand it. So then I need to come back and go, but let's understand this then. So that's why if I just share the feeling, many people, not all of them, I find so many people in woo-woo land where they just go, well, I just surrender and I just want to trust the universe and I just trust the process. And it's like, yeah, it's good. You know, it's good. You're nearly there, but it needs a little bit more. And that's what we're doing. I mean, that's what the whole infinite coaching group has been doing. But now we're going through a whole structured program. Sorry, I keep forgetting there's people in front of me here as well. I need to look at you as well. So you guys get what I'm saying? So then let's go back to that question, right? That's a question I'm looking at. This, I don't answer this in OMG. I watched the first video and go, okay, what's not explained, or how can I go and explain or understand this further? Or what is charge? Well, people go, well, that's a charge. The moment you charge, the moment you label something and the label is charged, you're putting power into something. That is the process of putting power into something. Okay? So then we need to go, well what is charge? Understand charge itself. So what was the question that I just went on a journey to explain what we're actually doing here, because I started to realize what we're doing. So resolution. Why is the charge? I thought that was beautiful. The charge is looking for resolution. Yes, I understand. Then you might have control and all that stuff kick in. I understand, like, you know, but and I understand what John was saying as well.
I feel like that when you're going through the process of resolution, it's supporting me to come to a place of completion in the charge.
Oh. The charge is looking for completion.
It's feeling like something's missing, something's not whole, something's
Going through a process of separation, which is why it needs resolution.
No, don't say anything more. You said it beautifully.
Okay.
Resolution. It's looking for resolution because it's looking for completion. The moment you were born, you perceived that there was something missing. Something was not whole, something's not complete. You remember that? Mm-hmm. And your entire life, you begin to look for yourself. Now, yourself is formless, and you only understand yourself as the physical. So therefore, you look in the mirror and go, nah, 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 like Orlando does, right? And then you perceive everything as physical. And you look for yourself in the physical, okay? Which is momentarily, you know, it's like you find someone you love and you're like, oh, I feel whole and complete, but that ain't it. Because the whole and complete is not in the physical, unless you begin to remove the physical. And you can't do that until you've been able to do it within yourself. I can't look at Niv and see the one in Niv unless I've seen the one in myself, because that's just bullshit. You see? But that's right. What Jamie is saying is that's it. It's looking for resolution. And I just gave you a reminder, you're looking for a resolution, or you were looking for a resolution, or you are looking for a resolution. But why? Why is the charge? That's why I say if something's positive, and again, it's not positive, you label it as positive, right? And don't get me wrong, some things, the label is bang there. Like something happens and you lose someone. And you're like, oh, don't label it. No, it's meant to be labeled. It's part of the process. So don't then beat yourself up for labeling and going, well, I'll label this as bad. Some things you continue, you're aware that you are labeling. I'm labeling this is positive and negative. Some things are just, boom, it's your label, own it. Like, you know, something deep happens, you know, like you lost your husband, for example. Like, it's there. Immediately you see that as a negative. It's part of your process. But immediately that negative, what you perceive to be negative, because it's not negative, it's just energy that we know as negativity. I feel loss, I feel whatever, okay? That immediately begins to look for resolution. And if you allow it, and that's what the reclaiming process is here. Reclaiming power is when the two feelings, when the resolution does happen, when what you perceive to be negative comes home and becomes whole with what it was trying to become one with. You see, what is charge? Charge is just energy. Okay? This is very important for you to grasp because you're now understanding why you're reclaiming power or what is actually happening. Some of the things you don't need to try to reclaim power. Reclaiming power is just for me to introduce to somebody a process, almost give them a tool. It almost gives them something to focus on. When a baby's born, or not all babies, but Orlando, I give him a dummy. When it's sleep time, I give him a dummy. It's something for him to focus on. He puts a dummy in his mouth. He knows it's time to slow down and go to bed. You know, that's what reclaiming power is. I'm giving something for this mind and this emotional or energetic being that's going crazy, something to focus on. And that something to focus on is like, oh, there's a reclaiming process. But do you know a lot of the things that you reclaim happens itself? If you're willing to go with it, go where it's going. There is no process. I just say there's a process. And this is for you guys, not for the general public, because they'll be like, well, there's no process. What am I, there's no point.
Yeah.
Why am I listening to this?
Yeah.
If you know, you're going to teach me how to do this, right?
There's a journey, though. There's a journey back to you.
Yes, there is. It's like when I say there's no ego, and we'll talk about this in the month of ego, right? Yes, there is no ego, but there is a role that the ego has. And you must understand the difference. Why is there no ego? And let's just save that. We do have that. Month three. Let's save that for month 3. But I'm just trying to give you an example. So one of the questions I asked, which I thought was very powerful in this OMG, is what is power? So we'll come back to what is charge. We haven't landed with that yet. The question is, what is power? Do you remember what I say is power?
Space.
Yeah, space. But what is that? That's why I'm going to go deeper. Okay, space. Everyone's like, yeah, that sounds good. Like, what is
That's
space?
where your truth is.
Yeah, but that's nice, Susie.
Neutrality.
That's nice.
Where there isn't a charge. The power is where there is no charge.
Why is there no charge?
Because it is as it is, and you just.
That's nice.
You sit with it.
When every time you give me an answer,
That's woo-woo and
that
bullshit.
can be, I'm not saying it's woo-woo, it can be interpreted as woo-woo, because I want you to understand, I'm going to say that's nice. Okay, for the next 12 months, 15 months, if you hear me say that's nice, no, I'm not telling you to fuck off. Not telling you to fuck off,
It's
ever.
up to me.
I'll tell him to fuck off. But what is, don't give me that, give me a that's nice answer so I can say that's nice, but what was the question?
Space. Well, space is who you are.
Space.
Space is infinite. Space is it all to me.
Oh, it all. That's good. So what is that? It is all.
Yeah.
Okay. That's, yeah. Anything else? Anyone else want to add? Because that's why it is power, because it's all.
And nothing as well.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. And it's nothing.
Yes, I get what it's nothing. But if I can just and I didn't say this in OMG. I just said it's space, which is true. But if you can ask yourself, what is space? To me, space is the connectivity of all things. Of all. Because that space, it's just one. And that's a nice answer I just gave there. That space is just one. I heard myself go, that's nice, Amir. So, but the connectivity of all things is power. Doesn't that make sense? Can you not understand that? Of course that's power. Power is not in here. I can't hold this. This is a great gift from my mother. She gave to me. I can't, it's a golden rose. I can't hold this and say the power is here. That's not true. There may be power here, but there can only be true power here if this is connected to all. So that space is not one thing. The space or power, is what I was looking for. Just ponder on that. I don't think you need to ponder much. Power is the connectivity of all things, or of all that is. Whatever you want to, if things can be things, okay, that's the way I see it. Power is the connectivity of all things. I want you to write these down and ponder on them. So those who are not taking notes, you're probably thinking, this is so weird. No, you can listen to the recording. Don't worry about you freaking out. But if you want to write it down now. But I want you to ask yourself these questions, and I want you to walk away and ponder. Power is the connectivity of all things. And if anyone ever has a better statement or a deeper, more refined, please bring it back to the circle, because I may not always. But I asked myself, well, what is power? Because I didn't. The guy in OMG asked, what is power? And I said, what a great question. I'm never even asking that. But what a great question. Well, what is power? And I was like, it's space. I was like, yeah, but that's nice. Right?
When he asked a question when I was listening to the recording, what came to me was capacity. Capacity.
Yeah.
Everything. The capacity for everything, essentially. And I guess when you give them away, the capacity becomes allocated.
Yeah.
And that's at least how it
That's
processes
good.
for me.
Very good. Like that. Did you just crack your neck?
Yeah.
Wow.
My shoulder, actually.
Colombians. Okay, so
power right there.
So then what is charge? That was the next question I asked. No, I didn't ask that question. I spoke about charge because we said, how do you know you have power in something? Because you label it and the label you have is charged. So I use the example and say, this is a chair. Now, remember, you must give your power away for you to experience duality. It's part of the process. Okay, but there's a difference between you continually giving your power away unconsciously versus you giving your power away consciously. You think that you're this body, it's part of the story. You don't live that way, but it's part of it. Like, you have to be part of this body. You have to say, well, this is a table. You can't walk around and go, well, no, there's nothing here. It's just all, I'm not labeling anything. But it's, when do you label something unconsciously? When do you invite yourself to label something unconsciously? Because again, I just explained it to you. It's labeling something consciously or unconsciously. When you're actually conscious that you're labeling this. You know, people say to me, oh, you just judge. I'm like, yes, I did. Good catch. They'll say an OMG. It's like, good one. When are you labeling things, even with a charge maybe, right? When is it conscious and when is it most likely to be unconscious?
You feel separate to it.
You create separation as you have labeled. The moment you have labeled, you create separation. But remember, you came here to be separate. But remember, you came here to be the whole ocean in the drop, not the drop floating in the ocean. That's all. So yes.
I think it's when you don't see the one in it. You don't see yourself, so you label unconsciously, so therefore you can go through the process of becoming into confusion with it again, part of yourself.
Yeah, but what creates you not to see the one in it? I'd say this in OMG, and I say it becomes a curtain that closes in your mind.
It's a judgment of yours.
Yeah, which is a
Make meaning out of it.
no, not yet. Yeah, you reinforce it by giving meaning into it. So yeah, you've gone in the head in OMG. You understand. You reinforce this by giving meaning to it. So yes, yeah. So what's a judgment? It's
a charge.
Charge.
Yeah.
I think it happens when there's a misalignment of my expectations.
You got to speak up.
A misalignment of my expectations.
A misalignment of your
So
expectation.
situation happens, and you said, when do you put power into something?
Yeah.
It's when I already expect it to be a certain way. My expectations, judgment of what it should be,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't turn out.
And what is that?
The question you asked was, when do you put power in something? Or when does it? When is something consciously? So for me, the most likely event when I would unconsciously label something is when something doesn't go my way.
When you unconsciously, when something doesn't go your own way, yes, but you can also be unconscious when something does go your way too.
Sure, probably.
So it's more when
do
you
you get that first?
Yeah, I do.
So then
I do.
that's not
So
it.
Yeah, even if the expectation is there.
Because if something does go your way and you did have the expectation and it did go away, then you then have a different type of charge that reinforces, and you put your power into the thing. And remember, the thing or the person, you put power into it because immediately you think you feel how you feel, or you are where you are, or your story is what it is because of that. Very simple. That's immediately. How many times have you heard me talk about my story, leaving speaking, coming to speaking, the very thing I spoke, going to flying? All kinds of things could have happened in the story, but I'm like, but that's not why I have what I have. So just remember what I just said. Put that on a fridge somewhere. I don't know. Like, we need to remember that. The reason you know you have power in something is because something or someone you perceive, that you feel the positive or the negative or whatever it is that you're feeling because of that something or someone. That's immediately, there's a sign that you've got power in it.
But why do we do that unconsciously?
Where everyone's doing it unconsciously, unless they're on the self-actualization path, like they're actually realizing they're doing that, right? But where you invite yourself to do it unconsciously again, why don't you go sit over there so you're not leaning forward, not you. If you sit over there, she's trying to get around you. So where you invite yourself to do that unconsciously is when the curtain closes. When the curtain closes is because when you're enrolled in the charge. But this is so good. But this is so shit. But I've got no money, they always used to say to me. And I'm like, yeah, but you're not listening what I'm saying to you. But I've got this, but I've got that. But you know what I mean?
They can't hear it.
They can't hear it because they become blinded because they're enrolled in the emotion too greatly. That's when, so that's what I mean. You can bring your awareness to when you are labeling something, even if there is a charge. But if the charge is too great,
no awareness.
Your awareness is gone because it's like closed here. We're closed. You just can't see it. And you're like, but I've got this, but look what happened to me. But this is amazing. You can't stuff up. I talked about in the first video about my becoming a platinum.
That was funny to hear.
That was a perfect example. It was so good. And I was like, but I can't fuck up because I know I'm platinum. I'm platinum next trip. I went and became platinum and then the story changed. No, so we don't have an upgrade for you. I'm like, but I'm platinum. I thought that was quite funny re-listening to that. That's a perfect example of good. I put power into this. Does that make sense? So that's the difference. You're always going to be putting power in. It's part of the journey. It's part of your experience. You know, that's Niv over there. I'm over here. This is this. Like it, but it's very important to notice or be aware that you are doing that. Because if you're aware, you can be easily aware to undo that. It's where you need to reclaim power or when you need to go through the process is when you are unaware of you putting power in the first place in that. Does that make sense? If you have awareness that you're putting power into something, then when and if it's required that you reclaim some of the power back or for you to neutralize that completely, right? It's simpler. It's because you are awake. It's like me driving somewhere, right? And I remember someone driving. We're in Italy or somewhere, and you kind of know that we went down this path, down that path, or you're driving somewhere in Sydney or in LA or in New Zealand that you've never been. If you're awake, you kind of remember how you got there. Things become familiar. Oh, I remember this corner. I remember this post. I remember that sign. They become familiar. But if you're asleep the whole way, you got no fucking chance. Like, it's a lot of work to find your way back. That's a perfect example. So please understand that it's okay if you're putting power in something, right? Don't fucking judge it. And some things you've got no choice. There's power in there because it's in the resolution of the power, which is neutralizing, that you're rediscovering a part of yourself. Like I was giving Amy as an example, if you don't mind, I use you as an example again. When Amy's husband passed away, like, there's no like, oh, I'm judging this. Oh, boom, you're judging. Like, you have no choice. It's part of your process. But the resolution of that, and it's through the resolution that we keep meeting ourselves. And we do that continuously over and over. And again, this feels like a new disco move. I think that's what they're doing in the nightclub. They're actually doing this.
You haven't been to disco.
Yeah, I was like,
Seriously. Disco?
Yeah, that's where I went. I was like, disco? Really?
Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay? So don't judge your process going, well, I've got this process. Some processes are there. But if you're continuously, unconsciously giving power to something, you know, you got trouble. You got problems. If you need to, you know, I've got a blow-up pool for Orlando, right, out there. If I don't know how to inflate it, I've got a problem. It's going to have to be a permanent fixture in the outdoor backyard. I need to know how it blows up, and I need to know how to remove the power. Okay? So that's why when people were like, oh, you're judging, I was like, I am. Or, you know, I had people going, I've never had it anymore, maybe because I'm not speaking as much, but, oh, that's your ego there, Amir. I'm like, yeah, you like? I had someone actually, the last time I heard someone say that was in one of Jamie's friends I bumped into. I was having a boys' night. She was in the bar.
Oh, that's right.
And then she was a great girl. I liked her. And then but she kept saying, oh, that's your ego. I'm like, do you like it? It's like, you know, I'm aware it's my ego. But am I driving my ego? Is there an awareness? Or it's not, where you become your ego. Does that make sense? So that's something that you need to grasp, you know, and maybe we need to have a different conversation about you guys taking other people through this program, but at least for yourself, you know, in case you're like, oh, I've got power in this, it's like, yes, so you do. But as I went on my journey and reclaimed all this power, if you like, right, and we'll talk about the reclaiming process next time, okay? And we'll clarify that. What is the reclaiming process? And why does it happen sometimes by itself? Okay? And then what happens is when it happens by itself, the ego takes credit and goes, well, yeah, I'm obviously more enlightened now because I don't have that issue anymore, and
Yeah.
takes credit.
And slap.
And then slap.
And story goes, bitch, bite your ass.
So we still need to talk about what is charge. What did we just talk about?
Yeah,
Process
unconscious,
of being
unconscious.
Being conscious, unconscious. Okay, cool.
When do you unconsciously or consciously put your hands
Okay, so we talked about charge. We're talking about charge there, right? Now remember, so far what I've said to you is just charge is energy. Okay? It's a different energy, but it's a different color of the same rainbow. It's a different wave of the same ocean. You've heard me say that. One is experienced through what you say as good. One is experienced as what you say is bad. It makes me feel this bad. But it's just energy. Your label or your interpretation of that is what makes it what it is. When you're reclaiming power, and again, this is next week, when you're actually doing the reclaiming power, you become one with the energy. The energy becomes neutral because the resolution, is that the word we're using?
Yeah.
Takes place. It's looking to resolve itself. So, what is the space? The space is the two energies as one. So in the beginning, there was one infinite ocean, one infinite energy. This one infinite energy is this what we've been talking about, this emptiness. But it's energy. Remember that. The energy is whole and complete because the energy is the connectivity to all things. There is no separation. There's only one energy because it's connected to everything. There can't be two. You guys understand that? I don't need to talk to you about that. There's only one. But then this one infinite energy manifests itself into two. Two energies. Right? This is the charge. And the charge is always looking for itself. This is the game. This is your processes. This is the rediscovering of yourself through these charges. The charge is the one manifested itself into two. Positive and negative. I talk about this in many of my talks. You get a positive and negative battery lead, you put it together. There's an explosion of life, or they call it a spark. Without it, without each other, they're nothing. If I want to start the car, jumpstart a car, I need both leads. One is earthed, one is, I don't know how it all works, I'm not an electronic person, but you need both, don't you? They both must come together as one. You can understand more of the charges because the charges are separate. They're part of the world of duality. The part of the world of duality you use to understand. The part of it that's one you cannot understand. But what do you think it means when I say you're here to be an infinite being in a finite world? You move the energy which you call charges. Manifestation is moving of energy. I remember I met with my business partner once, and you guys have heard this story. And he was like, at the very first time when I first brought into the business, he asked me, "What do you do? You don't do anything. You don't work hard." I said, "You won't understand what I do. I do more than you think." Because, "But you don't do anything." I go, "No, I do." And then you won't understand. He goes, "I want to understand. Tell me what you do. I want to understand. Tell me." I said, "I move energy." It's like, "All right, don't worry about it." Now, this is more into manifestation. We'll talk about that next month. But how do you move energy? Ooh.
Orlando.
That's good. I'm going to write that down. That's for manifestation. Because that's all you're doing. You are moving energy. How do you move energy? Well, I spelled it wrong, but whatever. Okay? We'll talk about that later. So that's all a charge is. A charge is the one into two.
The separation.
But remember, it's required. It's part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
The trick is to allow yourself to let it have its resolution. That's why when we're doing reclaiming power, again, that's next week. But in reclaiming power, we talk about the energies becoming one. That's what neutralizes it. So you understand when I say it becomes neutral. You understand what that means, right?
Mm-hmm.
It means the two have come together as one. Because that space that we just spoke about, and I said in the beginning there was only one energy, when it's new, that space is neutral. But we understand that neutral is the connectivity of all things, don't you? Neutral is power. We don't need to go through that. All right. We're running out of time. So there's a couple other things I wanted to just make sure we're... Anyone want to share anything at this point before I go on to the next part?
Amir,
Yo.
I just want to make sure I'm clear on this. This
Yeah.
is the way I'm verbalizing it. The energy is never resolved because it's one. It does separate into the two or whatever as the dance in this experience. But the thing that resolves is my perspective. That's the thing that really resolves.
That's a good question and a good thing to talk about. So does the energy resolve, or is it your perspective that resolves? That's the question.
I think what resolves is the charge. The charge resolves, but the energy doesn't. I mean, the charge, when they come together, they become this one energy. So that's what resolves.
So then
Your
if it's not
perspective-
resolved, wouldn't it still be two energies?
Yeah, but they're not together. Because that's what, Sue said before, separation creates the charge, the two charges. And then, of course, it's your perspective. That
Separation, let's have a look at that. Separation creates the charge. Or does the charge create separation?
Good question. I was just going from when you did that, when they became the duality.
Yeah.
That's kind of like
So the
what's
separation, it's like the big bang.
But where does separation come from?
Someone, I need to write that down.
When
Well,
they
Does
separated.
separation create the charge, or does charge create separation?
Where does separation come from though? Because
Okay, these are good. Hang on, let me write this down because these are homework. Does separation create the charge? Or does the charge create separation? Okay, so good questions. So we need to ponder on this and we're going to come back to it. I'm going to document everything so nothing is going to get missed. So John's question was,
Is it the energy that resolves, or is it your perception?
is it the energy that resolves?
I'm saying the energy doesn't resolve. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying my perspective of it has to resolve.
Does energy resolve?
There's one. I mean, Amir, you've said things like love is all there is and everything else is my judgment of it. I'm doing the separating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but I still want you to ponder on it. Those are two questions.
Hey.
I will remind everyone what the questions is before we end. Harold.
I don't know if this helps, but like from a scientific perspective, energy is never lost. Energy is only transformed. Like when you're talking about the battery, like the electric energy is transformed into mechanical energy or heat energy. So the energy itself is never lost. It's just transformed. And also when you have maybe like a cold glass of water and a hot glass of water, then you have some separation and energy difference. And when you put it together, you have warm water, but the energy is still there. So
That's
maybe,
very good. So what? So then, because you're a doctor of electrical, mechanical, what is it?
electrical engineering.
Electrical and engineering. This is great. We have a doctor of electrical engineering. So then, knowing what you know and understanding what you understand, what would you agree with John's statement, or would you disagree with it, or what's your perspective?
I'd say, like, scientifically, the energy is never lost. It's just transformed. And separation is like a completely different topic scientifically. It's a very complex topic which you call entropy. Like, this states the potential in something because of, how do you say, the degree of order it has. Like in nature, you see that things tend to move towards more disorder. Like when you have a window, you can smash it and you will have more disorder, but it will never put itself back together again. So in nature, you see that everything is tending to more disorder and less separation. Because, and that's the funny thing, it takes energy to separate things. Like when you want to put the warm glass of water back into a cold one and a hot one, you need energy to separate the cold and the warm, if you like.
Have you listened to I Am in the module?
I don't remember exactly.
I talk about construction and deconstruction and
yeah, okay, I remember.
neurology, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So this stuff that Harold is talking about will help some people understand some of this stuff. And normally, when I'm talking about feeling stuff, I would go, "That's nice, Harold, but look, what's the feeling, right?" But we're doing different type of training. So Harold is going to be doing lots of talking for us in these OMGs because we're going to be tapping into his brain and using it. Because I know some of you are like me. You'll be like, "Yeah, but you're losing me, Harold. Like you lost me at mechanical engineering or whatever." Whatever. But this is important. I want to bring this into it because we are at the understanding point now, right? So we want to understand it. So there's a lot of work that's going to be happening here. So just thanks for that, Harold. This is my profit and loss. My profit and loss statement, and here I am scribbling all over it. Where's my other notes? Okay, here. Thank you. So what I want to do is we're coming up to the last 15 minutes. So I want to wrap this up. Okay. Take what's been spoken. I just wanted to tell you a little bit more how we're going to work this. All right. You've kind of got an idea, well, and so did I today, how this is going to unfold, because we are really dissecting it and really getting your mental capacity and your heart capacity to come together in this, right? So when you're just doing OMG, it's not just about the feeling. It is, don't get me wrong. Remember, it starts with that. I think that's the first way in. Maybe I'm wrong because that's the way I've done it. Maybe some people have taken the path differently. They need to understand it and then be able to live it. But I don't. To me, it starts from the top and down. You know, the top is the feeling, and then it feeds into all the different understandings. But anyway, who am I to say what it is? So we are going to be dissecting each module, each video, and I'm going to be continuously posing these questions and go, well, what am I actually saying here? And with that, I will add a new version of the content. I will give you more examples like I have today. Has today been good? The examples, I thought they were pretty good. You know, driving somewhere asleep and that stuff's good. So, that's what we're going to be doing, right? It's going to really force you to get involved and participate in dissecting this. So the next session, we have to first ponder on these questions and have some kind of resolution before we move on to the next part. So you can see there's a lot of work to be done here. So the other question I want to leave you with, so control, I just wanted to make sure we're on the same page. In there, I talked about control. You put power into something. I rephrased it for you just before. I said, you put power into something because the very thing or the person, what would I say?
that you're trying to control is actually controlling you.
Yeah, no, I know I say that, but I gave you a different version of that answer just
You
now.
think it's because of that.
Yes. Yes. Which is the same thing. And that's why you go into control. Add that into the OMG program. That's a good piece of the puzzle, because it's the person or the thing that is taking place in your life. If you think it's because of that it is causing you to have the feelings or the experience that you're having, then you have a good chance of being putting power into that. Okay, maybe not experience, maybe feeling. Okay, it's probably if you're having charged emotions, positive or negative or whatever, good or bad or whatever, right or wrong, if you think that you're having those emotional reactions because of the thing or the person that I said it so much elegantly before. Okay, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So then what happens is when you do think it's because of that thing or that person, you then go into control mode and you want to control or influence with manipulation. That's different, right? I remember once doing OMG. When I first started OMG, the guy was like, how do we know that, like, you're not just brainwashing us and you're just influencing us? And I was like, well, I am. How do we know that you're not doing that? I'm like, but I am doing that. And he goes, well, that's not good. And I'm like, you better fucking hope I succeed, because if I don't, that little fucking voice in your head is going to be doing all the influencing and the manipulation. So there's difference between influencing, right? But influencing with manipulation, because influence with manipulation is control. Okay, just to keep it simple, you want to control. And then what do we know about what it is that you want to control? It was already controlling you. That which you try to control controls you. The reason you're trying to control you is because you think you don't have the control. And you're right, you don't, because it's controlling you. So we understand that. I don't need to give you any other highlights about that. One of the things I encourage you guys to do is, this is one of the things I'm going to get you to do, is list all the things in your life you're trying to control. Okay? That's a task. You're going to do that. Okay? This is part of I want you to write it down, and I want you to ponder on everything. And then tell me how this relates to this or not. Or if what was said is incorrect. It's homework. So the 2 questions we come up with, I want you then to go list all the things you're trying to control. You don't have to share it with anyone. And it's not about, oh my God, look at all these things I'm trying to control, right? I love in the OMG module where the guy goes something about having goals. He was a life coach in OMG, and he says, I've got all these goals, and he was talking about how he's different now. And I said, oh, well, I said, how does it feel? How would it feel if you didn't accomplish your goals? And he goes, I'll be fine. And I was like,
Why do you have goals?
well, why would you have it then? So anyway, so then he realized, actually, you're right. I actually would feel shit if that didn't happen. So I don't know why I got into that, but I just thought it was funny. I was like, that's a good question. List all the things that you're trying to control. It's not to it's just for you. So you don't have to share it with a group or anything. It's not that kind of session. But it's more about going into these things and go, well, do these things have power on me? And I just want you to identify, if they do, then tell me what it is. Like, you just write it down what it is. The other thing that I want you to ponder on is allowing to be. Now, we're going to be talking about that next week. Allowing to be. You heard me talk about it in the first video. What is allowing to be? Because part of the reclaiming process, allowing to be has a huge role in that. Allowing to be. What does that mean? Let's not get spiritual. Don't give me that's a nice answer. Just what is it? What are you doing when you're allowing it to be? Does separation create the charge, or does the charge create separation? Is it the energy that resolves, or is it your perspective that resolves? The other things that I've got to you to do is list all the things you're trying to control. But remember, the purpose of that task is for you to try to find where you put power into that. If you want to do an additional question, see if you can remember the moment you put the power into that. Because if you can remember when you put the power into it, you might remember the way out.
Can you write that down so that we remember to do it?
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
plus remember, see if you can remember putting the power into it. And you guys thought you just come here and listen to me talk. Look, there's work to be done. Yes.
When you're saying, see if you can remember when you put power into it, are you talking like, is that a timing scenario, or is that an energy?
Process scenario. Tell me about the process of when you put the power into it. I noticed that this happened. I noticed my attachment to it. I noticed this, that. Okay. How'd you guys find today?
Awesome.
Is it overwhelming at all?
No. No.
So thank you guys. I'm glad it hasn't been overwhelming, but you guys get a vibe that we're going to work it, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
You're not, the other stuff you could just come sit and listen to me, but this you have to really participate at a deep level.